today on My First Concert. And shortly thereafter, aren't they asking you to go to Saudi Arabia?
Yeah, correct. So I thought, my contract was done when the tour was over.
Sure.
I was ready to go here home. And they asked, hey, what are you doing next week? Do you want to, we have a show in Saudi Arabia. Come with us. So, sure, let's do it. So I had to go home, do laundry, and pack my bags.
Lucia Sarmiento is a saxophone player, very popular here in the Twin Cities and elsewhere, and she's got some international acclaim as well. We're going to talk to her today on My First Concert, but before we do that, I want to thank the folks at AquariusHomeservices.com for bringing this to you. Jeff and his great staff, they're awesome, and I've known him for well over 2 decades, so I speak from experience. And then also, I want to say thank you to our friends at Star Bank, which is star.bank. If you want to get to them on the website and digitally find out what they're doing over there, but they're just awesome people at Star Bank. Family owned still after all of these years, so they'd love to have you there. Star.bank. It's as easy as that on the website. Davide Razzo is our producer, the pride of Basel, Switzerland. Davide, thanks for coming back to work.
You're welcome. Nice to see you.
Great to see you and your return trip from Colorado. It's good to have you back home. And then also our guest, Lucia Sarmiento, great sax player. You may have seen her on YouTube and other places, but first of all, thanks for coming in, Lucia.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, first concert. What was the first one you ever went to? And you grew up, by the way, in Peru.
I did. I grew up in Lima, Peru. The first one I can remember is seeing Joe Satriani with my mom.
Oh, my.
Yes.
Wow.
I think I was 14 or 15. I was probably the only 15-year-old girl in the crowd. It was a bunch of metalheads from Peru. I was there with my mom.
Okay, so I was just about to ask, is your mom a metalhead?
We were, back in the day.
Okay.
What do you remember about the show? Do you remember much about the concert?
Well, that was, when I was 14, 15, I was playing a lot of electric guitar, and I was trying to, my dream was to be like Joe Satriani. I remember telling my mom, I want to be a rock star when I grow up. So she took me to see him, and we were listening to his album, I think it was Surfing with the Aliens.
Okay.
All the time. And I just remember being so, amazed at his playing. And I think it was in a big stage, because he plays big shows, right? So, the whole experience was crazy. Being in a big crowd with a lot of, dudes with long hair. And I was like, this is the life I want.
And then, did you have any acts, big acts that you liked coming into Lima at all that you could see?
Did I have any what?
Were there big acts that you followed that came in that you were able to see after that one?
Yeah, I saw the Red Hot Chili Peppers, which is also a huge influence of mine in Lima. They came.
Yeah.
But back when I was, in my teens, Peru was not bringing very many artists. So whenever you had an American artist going to a Latin American tour, they would go to Buenos Aires, they would go to Colombia, Chile, and they would always miss my city. So the two ones that I actually got to see Dream Theater, Red Hot Chili Peppers, and Joe Satriani. Wow. Those were my favorite ones.
What was the first concert you ever performed?
Oh, good question. It was probably when I was 7 years old and I was learning classical guitar. We had the shows, to showcase. Sorry.
It's okay.
To showcase what we had learned, because I was studying classical guitar in a summer workshop or something.
So where did it happen that you segued or morphed into the saxophone?
Well, that happened when I was in middle school, in band. I was very lucky to go to a school that had a lot of funding for the arts and the music.
Nice.
So they had an orchestra where I played the flute. Then I moved on to the big band where we played more jazz music. We also did some Michael Jackson kind of big band arrangements, and so I remember I played saxophone and I ran to the guitar to take the solo of Billie Jean and then ran back to the saxophone.
Wow.
So that was, I was just having fun in school with my friends, and I had a great band director too.
Well, you mentioned going from guitar to saxophone actually in concert and then back to guitar or back to saxophone, whatever it may be. When we come back, I want to ask you about doing that with Pitbull.
Yeah.
because you were playing guitar for him and saxophone, and then you kind of had to go back and forth. So, if I'm not
Yes,
mistaken,
that's true,
So, I want to
yes.
ask you about that. She is Lucia Sarmiento. She's with us today on My First Concert. Dave Lee here, and I just want to tell you about the fantastic service at Aquarius Home Services. I mean, the spring storm season is certainly here. And if you've ever worried about losing the power at your home, I wouldn't worry about it because Aquarius Home Services has you covered. They have the top-notch generator installation service now. So don't let the storms leave you in the dark, and we all know what that's like when that happens. But they're going to make sure everything from the fridge to the food there stays cold, or your sump keeps working, or the well pump keeps running. A lot of things to think about there. And find out more about what they do with the Connecticut water treatment systems. Because when you're in your home, the first thing you probably should think about is the water you're drinking. Because you're using it first thing in the morning, probably before you go to bed at night, and certainly in your cooking and everything else. And this, they make sure at Aquarius, they will take care of you with the Connecticut system. And I speak from experience. I've had mine for many, many, many years. And you just know that your drinking water is safe. And you'll see these stories on the news, and you're going, about water, and sometimes it scares you a little bit. Find out what they can do and what they're doing, because Aquarius believes in earning the right to be recommended. Man, they're good. They're just a click away at AquariusHomeservices.com. Lucia Sarmiento is with us. Okay, let me ask you about, you toured with Pitbull.
Yes.
How did that happen?
Oh my God. So I got recommended by word of mouth to do an audition in 2021 because Pitbull's band was looking for someone who could play the saxophone and the guitar.
Was it kind of coming out of COVID then, or?
Yeah. Well, it was like right in the middle of COVID.
Yeah.
They were still going to do the tours. They were not stopping anytime soon. So I sent an audition for them, and I had to play guitar. I had to play saxophone for the audition. Made the videos at home. I sent my first round of videos, and they told me that the playing was great, but that they wanted a rock star because Pitbull's band is, everybody's wearing black leather jackets. So they said, you got to play the part. So I had to redo the videos again, but this time I put on my high ponytail, some black clothes, red lipstick, and I had to, rock with the guitar especially.
Wow.
And they liked it.
So then you're on stage with Pitbull, and he finally figures out what the set list is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
But what about the case where you're playing guitar? Go back to the saxophone. Does your saxophone stay in tune the second time you go to it?
It does, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sometimes it was stressful. We were in places like Seattle where it was very cold already in October. I think
And
we were
humid.
there. Yeah, humid. Then we were in Texas where it was extremely hot and dry, So you just have to roll with it,
Yep.
The first thing that Pitbull told me when I met him was, I want you to remember that whatever happens on stage, we're going to have fun and we're going to put on a show. So he said it in like a very positive way, but I also knew that it was kind of like a warning, and
Yeah.
like, hey, whatever happens, we're making a show. You just gotta, yeah. So I had that in mind the whole time because touring is not easy,
So you change your outfit for the audition tape.
Mm-hmm.
When you get to the show, do they tell you what to wear, or do you get to choose what you wore?
I got to choose what I wanted to wear, but they told me that I needed to look like a rock star.
Yeah.
So it was fun. Yeah, I had to, do some shopping and look like put together an outfit and a whole persona, like a character. That was really fun.
Okay, so what about the day when you're leading up to a concert like that, when you know you're going full bore? I mean, your energy level's over the top. What was the day like for you before the concert, the day of?
Good question. So we were on a 2-month-long tour. We had about 40 shows, so it was basically back to back. We did 2 weeks of rehearsals in Miami. That was 9 to 6 p.m. Monday to Friday. We had 35 songs to learn, and at the end of the week, we had to record everything so Pitbull could hear it and basically give the green light if he liked the arrangements or not, and if he liked the band and all that. So. Then we had another round of rehearsals. These rehearsals were at the arena with the whole production. So the dancers, the fog machines, the lights, everything. So it's not anymore about the music, or like better said, not anymore about the band, right? So you have to be very patient.
Where were those rehearsals?
Where they were in Miami. They
Oh,
were
in
all
Miami. Okay,
yeah.
so they have. Are you familiar with Nashville at all?
Yeah.
So they have the sound check in Nashville, right? Where bands would just rent out like a stage
Right.
production, and so that's what they would do to rehearse tour. So it was in Miami the same thing? Or?
Yes, they rented an arena. We had access for a week there to rehearse, and then the tour started. That was the 40-something shows back to back, living in a tour bus with 12
Yeah.
people, waking up, going straight to sound check, doing the show, going to sleep, and waking up in another city.
But you just adjust, right? You just have to kind of
You
roll,
have to,
roll
yeah.
with the punches. But then you get done with that tour, and shortly thereafter, aren't they asking you to go to Saudi Arabia?
Yeah, correct. So I thought, my contract was done when the tour was over. I was
Sure.
ready to go here home. And they asked, hey, what are you doing next week? Do you want to, we have a show in Saudi Arabia. Come with us. So, sure, let's do it. So I had to go home, do laundry, and pack my bags.
So are there any did you need a visa or something like that? Or
Good question.
because I talked to Miles Hansen, that you might know from Cory Wong. He's the front of the house engineer for Cory Wong, and when they go to Singapore or all the other countries, they need visas. You can just go like we go to Europe, or
Right.
or they come to us.
Yeah.
So did you have to have anything of that? Or
Management took care of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay,
We did
okay.
have some, they gave me some papers, told me, no, don't lose this,
Okay.
Yeah.
And you've traveled internationally.
Yeah.
So it wasn't too strange for you, I'm sure.
Saudi Arabia, though, that was
yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, what was that like? So concert venues, did you do a lot of open air over there? Amphitheaters?
In Saudi Arabia,
Yeah.
we did it was the beginning of the Riyadh season. That's their festival season. So
Yeah.
I think their
Okay.
calendar year is divided between festival season and some other things that they do that has to do with some religious
And festival
situation.
season's huge, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like 6 months long.
Wow.
So we were opening the
You're
festival
kicking it
season.
off.
Yeah,
There's some
so
pressure.
it was you know what's crazy? So Pitbull we were doing the main stage, of course. It's like this huge thing. And they told us there's going to be 1 million people in the crowd. Then they come back and say, no, you know what? It's going to be 2 million people in the crowd from the whole Middle East, from Dubai. They're all coming to see Pitbull. And then they come back, no, it's going to be 300,000. And we're like, wait, what is it going to be?
Yeah.
So then we never knew how many people were there. It was just this huge thing, and you could not see the end of it.
Wow.
It was full of people. Also, you have men separated from women, right? They have like very different rules
Yeah.
and ways how
Yeah.
they live. And it was insane. And the craziest thing was that the Undertaker, who's that wrestling guy, you guys
Yeah,
familiar with him?
yes.
He was presenting Pitbull.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, so he's big over there, too.
So they flew him there.
Ah,
He
wow.
comes in with his whole costume, and he's just
I'm sure he got paid really well, Dave.
Yeah. Oh, he's used to acting. He would have been right up there.
he spoke for 30 seconds and then went home.
He
And then we
made
started
a couple
playing.
millions to do that.
Yeah.
Would that be a great gig, Dave?
Yeah, but he earned it. He, talk about a life of hard knocks. Those wrestlers, they earn their stripes. That's for sure. So you play Saudi Arabia, and you have that crowd, and you have as you mentioned, men on one side, women on the other. What about when the music starts? Because Pitbull's music, as you've already described, is kind of heart thumping, and you can't help but start moving around a little bit. So, but there's no intermixing. Everybody stays on their side and just jumps up and down, sort of thing. Or
Yeah. Honestly, I could not see the crowd very well
Yeah.
because the lights were so
I suppose,
big.
yeah.
They had like projections of like the government people in the sky. It was insane. I had never seen anything like that. But yeah, there was some very strict rules. Also for us, Pitbull has 6 dancers, and I was the only girl in the band. There are some parts in the show where I go in the front and I dance with him with a saxophone, and we have this like kind of like interaction. And management told me, don't do it because this can be misinterpreted in a place like Saudi Arabia. So then, we just had to change the show a little bit and make it different. But yeah, police was standing right there looking at the show, waiting for us to do something and make it take us to prison.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a very high pressure show in a way that I had never
I'll
experienced.
just play my sax and my guitar.
Yeah.
When they tell you there's going to be, the smallest number they gave you was 300,000, were you nervous at all or not really? I mean, once the music starts, you're pretty confident with what you're doing, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think honestly, like it's all about knowing the music very well. I get as nervous as here, at the Ice House, as in front of 300,000 people, if I don't know the music. But if I know it very well, then everything's fine.
I heard from people that have played big crowds that I think when you reach a certain amount, it doesn't matter if it's above or not.
Yeah.
That's all the same. But I think it's harder for them to play a more intimate show.
Yeah.
Because you're right there.
Yeah.
Lucia Sarmiento is our guest, a much-in-demand sax player for sessions around town, and Davide knows about that as a music engineer. We're going to talk more about that when we come back here on My First Concert, which you can download on Apple or Spotify or go to talknorth.com. Got a ton of podcasts right there that you can listen to as well. I do want to thank our friends over at star.bank. That's their website. Check that out if you want to get all the digital enhancements for your phone and do the banking from the phone, which I think most of us like to do now, but maybe you want to go into the bank. There's some things you have to do. It's still the same family that owns all 10 banks that own that first one. It's pretty impressive what they do, not only with the products that they tailor to assist you with everything, whether it's managing inventory in the business world, to paying vendors, to, covering operating expenses, all those sort of things, or it's personal stuff. If you're thinking of a loan, their turnaround time is terrific. The service is outstanding. They got a home equity line of credit for you, home mortgages, business loans, ag operating, whatever it is, they do it all. And 10 locations throughout the state of Minnesota. So personal banking, they take care of that as well. And digital banking. But it's kind of cool when you go in there because they know who you are. They'll remember who you are the next time you come in. And you'll remember them as well. So it really is fun going in there. I'd call Star Bank today or online at star.bank. All loans are subject to a loan application and approval. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender. But they're our bank here at talknorth.com. So we're backing up what we're talking about at Star Bank, still family run after all these years. Lucia Sarmiento, you can catch her on YouTube, by the way. See some of her videos on there. In fact, her performance with Pitbull, we're talking about that. You can find that as well. But Davide is a music producer. There are session players who become the session players that they want to have. So although she can perform on her own and solo acts and obviously internationally, she's much in demand now, isn't she?
Yes, and actually I had the privilege to work with you on one of the sessions that I needed a horn section, and I had Adam Meckler on trumpet, and he organized the other two people that I needed, and Lucia was in there, and then I soon enough learned, she's also playing with Steve Cole. And she's doing that session, and there she is, and now she's going back to Peru and doing their big stuff. And okay, all right. So I think, you got.
Yeah, you got the chops. It's pretty cool seeing this happen for you. I guess I would ask you, what was it that took you from Lima, Peru, to Minneapolis, St. Paul, Minnesota?
Oh, good question. Well, I always had when I started playing the saxophone, I was so passionate about jazz music. And I remember hearing Charlie Parker, Sonny Rollins, Chris Potter. I was probably 15, 16. And I wanted to learn how to play like them. But I also knew that in order to do that, I had to go to the place that the music and the language of jazz originated, right? So I applied for scholarships to go to school in the U.S. And I was very lucky to get a scholarship at McNally Smith College of Music here in the Twin Cities. So, yeah.
I would bet John Coltrane played a little influence in your life, huh?
Yes, definitely, too.
You remember when you first heard him, or?
Yeah, around the same time in high school, definitely.
Yeah, that was pretty powerhouse influences that you have. So you come to Minneapolis, and then what happens post-college?
I am gigging like everybody else, trying to make some money, pay my rent, get better. Like, college is a very crazy, fun time, but there's so much information and everything comes so quick that post-college is when I really got to sit down and study the saxophone and, jazz and music and everything. So I was studying really crazy during the day and then saying yes to every gig that I could take here in the cities. That's how I met, all the musicians that I'm still playing with. We have a very cool music scene here, and everybody welcomed me really gracefully. So, yeah, gigging, I was also doing social media videos because...
That's important.
Yeah. Yeah, social media has played a very big part in my career. And I started posting my silly videos playing with my friends when I was in McNally, more to... connect with my friends and my family from back home, because that was my way of like, hey, look, this is what I'm doing. So I would post a video on Facebook, and slowly it started getting some attention. I started, getting in touch with other saxophone players around the world, and I started growing this social media thing that has also led me to, work with a lot of brands and artists all over the world, and yeah.
And you've done your own album.
Yeah. Exactly,
Escape,
my album
right?
too.
So tell us about that process.
Yeah, so that's Escape album started as a pandemic project. Just time where there was no shows, there was nothing else to do. I was at home.
Tough time to be a musician right then, wasn't it?
Yeah, tough time in one way, but also for some people. I mean, for me, I can speak personally. It was a very good time to slow down and really take some time to explore and experiment without having to, I don't know, like without thinking much, because I was just, there was no pressure. I was just me and
there was nothing else to do for you guys.
Exactly.
And that was a really tough part after at the pandemic time. Everyone was home.
Everyone was home, yeah. And I mean, I have some very good friends, very good collaborators. So we were sending each other music, and we were rehearsing sometimes at my place, sometimes, David Feely's house, and slowly building this material of music that turned into Escape, which is the album.
Yeah. Well, there used to be a time when albums had liner notes on it. Did you have to write liner notes for this that we could see digitally or not?
I think I'm going to do that actually this month, yeah. Because I'm printing CDs and vinyl, so...
Yeah, because it's a recent album, right? I mean...
Yeah, it's coming out in October. It's
Yeah.
still not released. Mm-hmm.
And it's...
You have something coming up on Saturday, right?
Yeah, actually tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
Yeah.
Friday.
Friday,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
So Saturday is the show. Yeah.
Yeah, oh,
And then
okay.
tomorrow, one of the singles, the first single of the album is coming out. It's called Porcelain, and it's a Red Hot Chili Peppers cover, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, who played on it?
Oh, good question. It was David Feely on the guitar, Rydell on bass, piano. I believe it was Will Keir
Oh,
and
yeah.
Austin Lee on drums.
Okay, nice.
Mm-hmm.
What else do you play? Do you play more than the saxophone and guitar as well?
Yeah, I play iwi, I play the flute, I play the piano, I sing. I'm taking singing lessons now because when I'm recording more vocal tunes now, doing some Peruvian music arrangements as well. A little bit of everything.
When you get back to Peru, once a year at least, right? You like to go back for a month or so. Do you perform back home?
I haven't yet, no.
Do you want to?
I want to. I do want to. I have to find a band in Lima and book some shows. But right now, it's just time to spend with my family, with my parents.
What are their thoughts on your choice to come to the States and pursue music?
I think they were very worried at some point. I can imagine.
Yeah.
Like, oh gosh, she wants to play the saxophone. What's this thing? And now I think they've seen that I work very hard, that I'm very dedicated, and that I'm all in. So they have relaxed definitely. And now, yeah.
What was the first saxophone you ever had?
It was a Con, I think, like an old Con tenor.
How old were you?
I was like 13.
Do
probably.
you still have it?
No, I had to sell it before moving here.
Dave is asking this question very often, and even like to people like Paul Peterson, do you still have your first bass? And the answer is always,
No.
I wish I had
Everybody says they wish they had it, and I told you the origination of that question is from playing baseball for many years and have the first glove. Man, the first glove was like, you didn't know it at the time, but man, you'd kill to have that first glove again in baseball. And as a musician, and my father was one, and it's the same thing. His first guitar, Paul, was that first guitar? Where was it? And that sort of thing. So I'm just curious, if you had a chance to get that saxophone again, just to have it, would you like to have it again, just hanging out in the house, or not really? There's no any sentiment towards that?
You know what? I don't think I have very much sentimental to that one, but I have more to the horn that I have right now.
Yeah.
That's my first horn that, after I decided to become a professional musician, and I have been, offered to work with Yamaha and all these other brands, and they always tell me, well, if you want to be endorsed by us, you have to just play our horn. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't do it. So I'm holding on to my Borgani till, I don't know.
But what if Bergani would come to you, hey, we can give you a new horn, and just tell everyone what you're playing?
I would
Like
love
you
that.
did now.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe they will now. What about guitar? What was the first guitar you had? Do you remember?
Oh, it was red. That's all I know.
The red
I
guitar.
went with my parents and I said, I want the red one that looks like metal.
And now what are you playing? What do you have at home?
I have a Fender. I have a Strat.
It was a Strat was my first real guitar that I bought. So my first guitar, speaking of that, I had it exactly for 6 months, and then I broke it. Like, I couldn't. It was so cheap.
Were you impersonating the Who at the end of the concert?
No, actually, I was a big Kiss fan at the time, and
You set it on fire. Had fireworks coming out.
that. But yeah, I was rough, and it wouldn't stay in tune. And I said, I think I need a real guitar that stays in tune. So I bought a Strat, and I still have
There
that
you
one.
go. Oh, so you do have your...
I still do have it, and then shortly after that, I bought a Les Paul that somebody was selling, and it was my birth year, which is 1970. Yes, I just said it. I still have that one. So, and it's
What's a Les Paul?
it's a Les Paul,
Man.
and it's heavy, and it's a great guitar, and I'll probably bring it with me when I die.
There you go.
like Incas, so I went to Machu Picchu, not too long ago,
Yeah.
but the Incas would bury the very important men, with their family, with the wife, with the kids, and with their most precious possessions, even with their animals. So maybe you can ask
There you
to
go.
get buried with your Les
Did
Paul,
they
Bury me with my Les Paul.
like the
They-
Incas.
Do they do that in Italy? Do you know?
No.
Well, okay, just
no.
checking. So let me ask you this, Lucia. And we're talking with Lucia Sarmiento. And if you were to put together a concert, you're the promoter, and you can have 3 acts that on stage, they could be alive or buried with their guitar somewhere. who would you put on stage? Who would you want to go see?
Oh, good question. I want to see the Red Hot Chili Peppers again because I had so much fun at that concert when I was a kid. And I think they're coming to town, so maybe I'll go see them. I also really want to see Michael Brecker, and it sucks that I never got to see him live because he passed away. And someone else I would like to see, probably Jaco Pastorius with Weather Report.
Wow.
Weather Report gets a lot of glowing reviews when we bring up bands, don't they? Musicians love Weather Report. It's really What is it about the Red Hot Chili Peppers that you like so much?
I don't know. It's
Craziness?
Yes. I love music that has a lot of intensity and that is just in your face, and I think maybe also that's the kind of music that I like to do. I think my album, I need more ballads in general because I tend to go for that, intensity thing. I think Red Hot Chili Peppers has it in such an organic way. I love them.
So you're talking about working on vocals a little bit more. So what does that mean for the future, recording-wise? And
Yeah, I'm gonna sing more. It's time.
yeah,
I guess I can hire her for vocals as well then.
Yeah,
No, I don't-
please.
she doesn't not only play sax, she plays guitar, she plays the flute, and now vocals too. So I'm all set. I'm all set, Dave.
Yeah, hire me.
yeah. There you go.
So the single that's coming out tomorrow is a Red Hot Chili Peppers cover,
Yeah.
like I mentioned.
Porcelain.
Porcelain. I'm singing on it. So I wrote this kind of like choir orchestral arrangement and just layered a bunch of vocals and harmonized it. It was so fun to experiment. So, I mean, I had no training when I did that. And it turned out pretty decent. You know, I love the process too of creating and just experimenting with vocals. So immediately I started taking lessons with Rachel Holder here in town. So,
Okay. I heard of her too.
yeah.
Where can people have access and get the album?
Well, the album.
or the single
Yeah.
on Friday.
It's gonna come out in all streaming platforms. You know, it's gonna be on Spotify, everywhere. And the album, you can find it also on streaming platforms and also CDs and vinyls on my website
And I can follow you on Instagram as well.
as well. Yes,
And the
Instagram.
handle on that is?
Lu Sarmiento Music.
Anything else, Davide? Have we left anything out, Lucia?
No, I
Not
think,
sure.
yeah, I think we're good, and I'm happy that you accepted our invitation.
Yeah.
I really
Yeah.
have fun with you, working with you, and I can't wait to get another opportunity. And
Yeah.
we're always here, and even though I'm doing less and less of the music productions these days, I still hope to work with you again because
I would love
You were
that.
great, and yeah, it was a fun session, fun experience, and all that. So
Yeah. Also, I would love to come in the studio and just like check out what
Just
you
watch
watch
me.
to see if I can learn some stuff, production and
yeah, of course. Yeah,
engineering.
you can
That'll be
always. I guess you should. I think you played on Funk Fridays.
I did, yeah.
Yeah,
That
for
was a while
Paul,
back.
and maybe you should come and play again, and then you can watch me mix it.
Sweet.
So
I want to
let's do
learn
that.
some mixing.
Let's do that.
All right. These guys got a date.
Whew.
I'll be out with my nose pressed against the window pane once again watching all of this.
You can come too, Dave.
Oh, yeah. Lucia, thanks for coming in. And
Thank you so
congratulations, by the way, and everything, man. It's happening fast and it's exciting. You got a lot of moving parts in your life, and that's kind of the way we all want it, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
But it doesn't just happen, Davide, as you've seen a million times. You got to earn this. You got to be good. You got to
Yes.
perfect yourself, and doesn't. You just don't show up and do it. You got to be ready and prepared.
Yeah. No one is giving you anything. You have to take it and work for it.
Our thanks to Lucia Sarmiento, and she has that CD coming out. I mean, the new single Friday, Porcelain. You want to listen to that, and then we'll keep you posted when the new album will come out here soon. In the meantime, we want to thank you for joining us here on My First Concert. Dave Lee with you, along with Davide Rosso. And our thanks, of course, to Star Bank at star.bank. Check out all the great services they have, a Minnesota company. They're awesome. And, of course, from the AquariusHomeservices.com studios, Jeff and all the great people over there at AquariusHomeservices.com. They'd love to take care of everything inside of that house, whether it be your furnace, the air conditioning, maybe it's going to be the plumbing right now, or your drinking water. They do the home services, so they're pretty well covered in all of that stuff. Find out more about it. And again, we will talk to you next week. Go to Apple, go to Spotify, go to TalkNorth.com, and just download these wherever you get your podcasts. In the meantime, we'll see you next week on My First Concert.